Now we are going to do CSS selectors. And with CSS selectors, we've already learned about an element selector, a class selector, an ID selector. If you're catching this video online, here's all the resources you need right there. Check them out. Awesome course. A lot of great info. And we're learning about CSS selectors, how to build web pages. We've seen an element selector, class selector, and ID selector. Angel, what's an element selector?
So it's the elements from CSS.
Pretty okay. Salvador, what's an element selector? Angel, Henry, Salvador, and Richard, what is element?
Basically like the P tag.
Yeah, P tag H1, right? Select the UL, right? So an element selector is like this. I'm selecting the header, I'm selecting the section, I'm selecting the article, or I'm selecting, we've been doing H1, right? That's an element selector, okay? What kind of a selector is this one with a dot? It's a class selector, right? And then an ID selector has the pound, the hash sign. You say pound if you're over 40. You can only use an ID once, so this one's incorrect. Right? You can only use an ID once in your HTML. So that's an element selector. It's a class selector, an ID selector. There's also an attribute selector. Here's an attribute selector. So we could have attributes and somewhere in here I have an attribute, content editable. So here's an attribute. We're learning about attributes for the first time in this course. HTML elements can also have attributes. We already saw with here is like the link element has this attribute, rel. It has this attribute, href. Okay? So elements can have attributes. And we saw with the anchor tag, there's an href attribute. So anchor and link have href attributes, both. Well, there's an attribute called content editable. And so any of these, like your editor, should bring up possible attributes that you can give it. Okay, look at all those. Lots of different attributes. And one of them could be content editable. And so I'm saying here, anything that has content editable, I can't pronounce that, don't laugh at me, or go ahead, it's fine. Laughter is good medicine. Anything that has content editable, we're going to make it red and 1 pixel dash black. Just another way we could select stuff, okay? You could select it by attribute. It totally works. You don't need to see it. You can play with it on your own time. We could also have pseudo class selectors. Link, visited, hover, active, focus, okay? Nth child, typography. And so here is like a link selector. And you always want them in this order. Link, visited, hover, active, which I think of as love ha, LVHA. They always need to be in that order because I don't know why. I don't have a good reason. It just doesn't work if they're not. LVHA. And so pseudo class selectors, LVHA, if I have this document, right? Here's the anchor tag. Here's, more anchor tags. They're inside paragraphs. The anchors are nested inside a paragraph. This is going to apply to the anchor when there's a link, when it's been visited, when it's hover over, when it's active. Let's look at this in action. Reveal and finder is what I'm looking for. Open. Okay, so it's green. The link is green, right? Take all anchor links, make them green. Whoops, I just changed the code. And if I hover, it's red. Hover is red. And if it's active, it's yellow. Right? Just took me to BMW. The ultimate driving machine? I don't know who this woman is, but why? She's an actress. I should have been an actress. Oh, wait, I should have been an actor. And now if I refresh this page, that's blue, and blue is it's been visited. Okay? So those are our selectors. We're learning about CSS selectors. Element, ID, class. We saw attribute. Now we're looking at link, visited, hover, active, pseudo class. Needs to be in that order. And then we have focus. So like a form field with focus. Let's see what we have here. A focus. Let's see what happens. Split vertically. And let's open that one up. Reveal in Finder. I think of form fields being the ones with focus. If I tab, now I've selected that, it's got focused, right? So I just hit tab, it's selected, it's got focus. If I click it, it gets focus. So that's focus when it has focus. So like when you're clicking through a form field, you could format things in that form field when they get focus. So we have focus. And there's some other examples here. Like here's an example of a form. Let's look at it. See, I'm like focusing on the form field. Maybe I'm adding something. I don't know. Let's go look. Input focus border becomes solid green when the input, which is the form input, gets focus, right? So here's this form input. We'll learn what that is. There's different attributes there. When it gets focus, make the border green. Okay? So we have focus for elements. So we've got element, class, ID, attribute, link, visited, hover, active, focus. And then we have nth child. So nth child, baby, you tell me the nth child, I'll tell you what I'm going to style. Nth child is for styling things where there's many of them, and you want to style some of them. And we're going to look at nth child in the next video because we're already at 7 minutes, 30 seconds. Hey, if you like this video, like it and subscribe, and check out greatercommons.com for the whole course, where it's all organized and it's not in class like random with me being sassy to keep people awake. Check out greatercommons.com.